I would like to introduce you to Reclaim, a game that aims to share knowledge about resource recovery from sanitation and support attitude change and collaboration between players. So what's in the game? I'm going to spend this short time to talk you through the pieces and the contents of the game Reclaim. Reclaim includes concepts that are important for understanding the possibilities for resource recovery from sanitation systems. It includes the potential benefits from safe reuse, such as fertilizers and links to food production, but it also includes the potential negative consequences of mismanagement of our sanitation systems, such as water pollution and disease. There are also unexpected events, such as floods, disease, as well as positive potential improvements, such as new innovations and development. With this, we try and capture the dynamics of the society which our sanitation systems are placed in. For example, these players are rolling the dice to see if the untreated excreta in the city becomes disease. In this case, they are unlucky, and several of the excreta dice have been converted into disease. The Reclaim board game is made up of 4 different types of hexagon tiles. There are tiles that illustrate urban areas, those that are made to illustrate rural areas, and there's also water tiles or tiles that represent unusable land, either mountainous or swampy lands. And these tiles can be put together in a way that can represent the city or the area that you are working in. So in this way, the board can be adapted to different circumstances and allows the players to feel at home and perhaps that this game is playing in their own city. The other piece that is an important part of this game is the resource dice. These dice represent the resources that are in play in the game. The 6 sides of the dice represent the different phases that nutrients within our human waste go through. It can start off as food, which then as we eat it comes out as human excreta or waste. This waste may also be source separated so that you have separated waste, which allows for easier resource recovery and treatment. When it's been treated, it either ends up as a sludge, which is what our conventional waste systems often produce, or it can be transformed into a safely recovered fertilizer for reuse. As pointed out earlier, there is also the possibility that untreated waste can turn into disease, representing the 6th side of the dice. The other important piece in this game are a number of cards that represent the types of technologies that get built in our sanitation systems. These cards represent construction at the household level or the building level, so different types of user interfaces for collecting and managing human excreta at a housing level. There are also treatment cards, which represent how we can treat our sanitation products. And there are a number of farms or potential areas where we may reuse the products that have been recovered from our sanitation systems. These 3 different types of technology cards are also linked to the Guide for Sanitation Resource Recovery Products and Technologies, which is a new document that has been released by the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences in collaboration with our partners. The EAVAG Compendium of Sanitation Systems and Technologies is also linked and represented in the different types of technologies found for housing levels. During the game, the players have a choice of technologies that they can build. There are always several options available on the table for the players to decide between. In this case, the player has built a new treatment plant and is selecting a card to represent the type of technology for the treatment plant they've just built. Then they place that treatment plant on the board. The game is played by 4 players who work together to manage the sanitation systems in an urban area. These 4 players take turns playing 4 different roles within the game. The first role is housing. The person playing this role has an opportunity to build houses and transportation systems. It is in these housing blocks that food gets consumed and is converted either into excreta, waste, or source-separated waste, which then can be transported away from the housing. The treatment role is in charge of building treatment plants to be able to treat the waste that has been collected from the housing areas. Once waste has been transported to a treatment plant, it can be converted either into sludge via our conventional systems, or it can be treated at a resource recovery plant and thus also converted into fertilizers that can be safely reused. You notice here that each of these has 3 different levels of housing or treatment, from black to gray to green. These are, as you go up, they go from 0 to level 2. The treatment and the type of housing improves. There are also farmers in this game, representing the production of food for the urban areas. There are 2 different levels of farms within this game that can produce different amounts of food. So the farms thus convert fertilizer, the NPK, into food. They can also choose to use sludge from the treatment plants, but there is a risk that it has not been safely treated and thus produces disease. The 4th player on the game is a private contractor. This is a player that can take on any of these other roles, building housing, treatment, farms, or transportation systems, but they have to pay a higher cost for it. Let me show you how this play might look.
The contractor could maybe help out in the end to get the food out to people, maybe by building this road or Oh, actually, if you build one road here, you could drive this way. You don't need to spend money on that.
That's one there, and I have another. I have one lost.
Let me show you how the game works. In this case, there are 2 level 1 houses, represented by the gray blocks on the left. These houses have conventional mixed wastewater systems that are connected to the local treatment plant, as seen by the long gray block. These houses have food, as shown by the dice with the apples on it. This food will eventually be eaten and turn into waste, which can in turn be sent to the treatment plant, where it will be treated and turned into sludge. It is also possible in this game that the treatment plant does not work. By rolling a dice, the treatment may fail to work and the waste ends up out in our waterways, where it may turn into disease. And in this game, we can upgrade these houses to green housing with source-separated systems and green treatment plants where they can do resource recovery. In this case, the situation would look that the food that is eaten at these improved houses can be source separated to look like this, and as it's sent to the treatment plant, where it is treated then to a fertilizer product represented by nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. If transportation is built, this fertilizer from the resource recovery plant can be sent to the local farm fields, where it in turn can be turned into food, which may be eaten to feed the local population. There are 4 rounds in the game, during which each of the players has the opportunity to build infrastructure according to their roles. At the end of each round, the players have an opportunity to collaboratively make decisions regarding vaccination to remove disease, importing food or fertilizer, or removing untreated waste from the city by dumping it into the river. These players are just deciding whether or not to dump the waste that's left in town.
But yeah, for the next round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shall we dump this then?
Yeah, we
We
can
can
do
leave it. And then we have to throw 1 dice. Now I'm not throwing.
Every round, the city grows, and the players need to continue to build and plan for future waste as new houses grow and make the city larger and larger. At the end of the game, it is possible to visually see the results of the sanitation system that has been built, including the quality of the sanitation systems that are provided based on safely managed or basic sanitation, as well as an estimate of the nutrients recovered in terms of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and the percent of locally produced food and fertilizers. These results can give the players an indication of how well they did in managing a circular sanitation system. So that is what is inside the box. If you would like to know more, please contact the SPANS project